Normie. You know, buddy, you win some and you lose some.
Yeah, dude, I feel like shattered ass today, man. Like the only things on my body that hurt are the parts that weren't getting punched. And that's age, man. I think last night was the first time that I've actually experienced what it, when people say, "Oh man, how you gonna do up against these guys who are, 10, 20 years younger than you and shit like that." Like it was the first time that I actually experienced that. I fought a 20-year-old, this kid, man, and I mean, granted, I have only been training for like 2.5 months, and I've only been actively training for this fight for like 2 weeks, but his cardio was just so much better than mine, but he was just quick. He was light on his feet. Of course, he was also like 40 pounds lighter than me.
That's right, because you're, excuse me, got a frog in there somewhere. That's right. Your opponent came in light.
Yeah, I actually weighed in at 198. I weighed in at 237. And, I mean, you could see it in the video that, like, how much, like, that extra weight in my midsection, it definitely made a difference. I wasn't, not to mention, too, this is amateur boxing. And, like, it was a 1-minute round. I was under the impression, because I didn't really know much about it. I've never amateur boxed before. It was my first one. And I can give two shits about boxing, to be honest with you. I'm just doing it to kind of get back into the competitive scene, but I didn't really know much about the rules. And when I was basically told, like, less than a week before the fight that it was only a 1-minute round, 3 1-minute rounds, and I was like, oh, so it's a tough man competition. Right. And so basically what you want to go in there and do is throw as many punches as you can within that 1 minute and hope to God that you land more points or outscore your opponent. And I think mentally, I just didn't want to do that. I didn't want to throw punches and bunches. I didn't want to just go in there and throw hands. I've been training technique for the last, 2.5 months. I've been training technique.
Right.
Drilling combinations and all that good stuff, and setting up combinations and pressing my sparring partners, getting them where I want, all that shit. So I think I went in there wanting to box my boxing match. I wanted to sit back. I wanted to utilize my feints. I wanted to set up combos. And it was he just overwhelmed me. And I quickly figured out, pretty early on in that fight that, yeah, I'm just going to have to start throwing haymakers. Just going to have to start throwing punches. I'm going to have to slip the left circle. I mean, that's what I think about now. Like, I should have slipped the left, circled out, centered myself so he didn't push me back into the corner, and then just kept it from there. But, yeah, I wasn't doing that. He come in, land a bunch of punches. And that was another thing, too. When he pushed me in the corner, I was, like, letting him hit me.
Right.
I should have tied up. If I would have just tied up with them,
it would have separated.
90% of the punches that he threw wouldn't even landed. He wouldn't even got a chance to throw them because I would have tied up.
Right.
The ref would have separated us back to center. And then it would have just been rinse and repeat. And I would have actually had an opportunity to land more of those haymakers, throw more of those combinations. And as soon as he came in, tie up, push off, tie up, separate, and just rinse and repeat. So it's a lot of fighters do that. You kind of realize afterwards that, I should have did this, I should have did that. But
it's boxing, though. You're not used to boxing.
Well, I mean, boxing's boxing. It's not so much that I'm not used to boxing. I'm not used to the fast pace. I wanted time to think.
Right.
I wanted to set him up, man. I wanted to step in and hit him with the combo, like
I told you last night. If you would have had longer than 1 minute per round, you would have been able to strategically place yourself better. You would have been able to get a good offense against him once you figured him out within the first 30 seconds.
I want to say everyone who saw the video, they say the same thing. If there would have been another round, if you would have had more time, I think you figured him out in the 3rd round. I think if it would have went another one, I think you would have gotten me. It was all that.
I mean, once you stumbled up against the ropes that one moment,
And I also didn't know that that every 3 shots, every 3 punches landed was a point. I didn't know that. I had no idea.
I thought it was one every two.
I had no idea. But no, yeah, everyone. I didn't stumble up against the ropes. I purposely shot, like I slung shot myself
Right.
up against the ropes to generate power.
But the way
to
that it
come
looked,
in, yeah,
right.
it looked
the way
like,
that it looked
was,
like you stumbled back a
Yeah.
little bit, but then came back.
That was the point. Like I wanted to stumble back so he would come forward, and then I would sling myself off the ropes like a like a rubber band, like a slingshot, and come in with the right. And that's exactly what I did. The only problem was that he saw it and he ducked. So there was a lot of punches. Like when I caught him with the right and stumbled him up against the ropes, when I came in to land the liver shot, he stuffed it. Like he just, but I'm not, he was a better boxer. Actually, I don't even know if he was the better boxer. He was just the better tough man, I guess. But I was expecting him to burn out his gas tank in the first round, so I wasn't as active in the first. I wanted to see what he was going to do.
Right.
And I expected to lose the first round. Some people said that they thought I won the first round, surprisingly, but I was trying to get him to burn his gas tank so he would be tired. I was actually banking on him not being in better shape than I was, and honestly, I don't even know if he was in better shape than me. I held up pretty damn well.
I mean, it's 1 minute rounds. You're not
Right.
really going to find that out because you get 1 minute. Hey, come over here. Sit down for a few. No. Take a moment.
Yeah.
And then, you recover just a little bit, just enough. And then you come back out to get that one more burst. But,
Right.
You're right. You couldn't tell.
I will say this though, like I learned a lot. I mean, I know that I learned that I don't wince when I get punched anymore,
Right.
or when punches are being thrown. I was actually saw every single punch that was coming in. My defense is decent, and it's obviously going to get better with training and practice and repetition. But my cardio was a hell of a lot better. I mean, like I said, 3 months ago, this wouldn't have been possible. I had no legs 3 months ago. I wouldn't have been able to even do it. I wouldn't have been able to make 30 seconds of that fight.
Right.
So I'm proud of myself. But and I took a clean shot right on the jaw, man.
Yeah, I saw that.
Didn't do shit.
No,
Did
you
nothing
took
to
it.
me.
You're also wearing headgear, though.
Doesn't matter. He hit me clean flush on the chin. There's no padding.
Oh, it wasn't
there.
underneath the chin?
No, even underneath the chin, there's no padding. That's a strap. But the point is I took a clean right hand right on the jaw, and it didn't do shit. No flash knockout. Wasn't dazed. Took it like I know that I could still take a punch, and that's the hardest thing about fighting me is trying to knock me out. You can't knock me out. I've never been knocked out, and it just it just tells me one thing, and I can still take a punch. And what I'm trying to do, and my theory is that that's why I'm trying to get to 170. Is that if you can't knock me out as a heavyweight, I have 9 amateur MMA fights. I've never been knocked out, and then closest thing to a knockout I had was a flash knockout, but I was still standing when I recovered.
Right.
And I was my first tough man ever, and the dude broke my jaw. So literally, the guy hit me so hard that he had to break my jaw just to give me a flash knockout, which happened. It lasted like a half a second. So, but yeah, like I've competed. I think this was like the 15th time that I've competed amongst kickboxing, mixed martial arts, boxing, tough man. And I love it, man. I'm looking to get on the next amateur boxing bout in June.
Yeah, there was.
And I'm looking to get on the Ryan Madigan and Jason Dent's up at Griffinwald, their kickboxing smoker,
Right.
in June 2nd. So I'm looking to get on that as well. Like I'm just trying to go. I'm not going to make a big deal about it because honestly, I don't care about losing. The only thing that I cared about was the fact that I lost and people paid money to come see me lose. That's the biggest thing. But it happens. That's what
Right.
people don't come to, people come to see you win, obviously, but they come to support you, and that's all that matters.
Right.
But even like Chris, our buddy Chris showed up, and
The film freak. Oh, sorry.
and I even apologized to him. I was like, "Hey man, I'm sorry I couldn't get the W for today," And even he's like, "Yeah, don't worry about it." People
It's okay.
came
He
to
had
see
money
me.
riding on your other guy.
Right.
No.
But
No, Chris was See, Chris isn't like that though. He comes just because.
I know.
So it's not like
Chris comes to support me,
right,
like everyone else, and but it doesn't mean I can't feel bad about it. You know,
don't feel bad, man.
But,
It was the first time you've been back in the ring or a cage, whatever you want to call
8
it.
years, eight
Yeah,
years,
first time,
and
it felt good.
yeah, and it's not like I've been training for the last year.
Except for the day after.
I've been training for 2.5 months.
Right.
You know, and not even training for a boxing match for 2.5 months. I've just been trying to cut weight. You know, because basically what I'm trying to do is cut enough weight to because I'm supposed to have another surgery hopefully this summer, but I have to get to a certain point mentally. I'm trying to make sure that I can get to that point. Physically I gotta try to make sure I can get to that point, and so that's what I've actually been actively training on. I just happen to, hey, I'm in shape, why not pick up an amateur boxing match? It'll be fun, and it was. I had a blast.
Yeah.
I was talking to the doctor afterwards, after the match. I mean, hell, I was even out of breath after the fight. I was sitting there and I was
surprised your rosacea wasn't even kicking up.
Yeah, I mean, that's just that's how I felt, man. I felt great. I felt fantastic, man. But if I was to do it different, I probably, and I think that was a part of the problem, is the fact that I wasn't completely gassed out and
right.
sucking after the fight. To me, that just goes, Al, you weren't trying hard enough. You weren't throwing as many punches as you should have. In a 1 minute rounds, at the end of that shit, I probably should have been like barely able to breathe, and I might have been able to pick up the W. So
no, I honestly think that
basically
you came in with a good strategy. All right, you came in with a good strategy, but like you said, you didn't tie up.
Right.
You didn't utilize the different techniques that boxing allows you to have while you're fighting.
Well, that's the thing. You don't have no time,
right,
in 1 minute rounds.
But see, if you were training for boxing more often than you are MMA, you would have known that it would have been reaction.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, mentally, I think that I didn't want to go out there and just throw hands. I wanted to showcase what I had been learning in boxing so far. I wanted to showcase my boxing technique, and that's what I wanted to do. That I didn't want to just go in there and go, oh, this is who can brawl better.
Right.
I didn't want to do that. But now I know that with a 1 minute round, that's basically what I got to do to get the W. So the next one I do, you bet your ass I'm going to get in there whoever I fight. I wouldn't mind fighting Tucker, who I've talked to afterwards, and he agreed. He wanted to set it up after seeing me fight. He wanted to set it up, and we'll set it up.
Right.
I'm trying to do it for June. If not, I wouldn't mind fighting the guy that I know you had already left. I wouldn't mind fighting Colin Meffert. He was the very last fight. He fought our guy, Colin Williams.
Yeah.
And that was a hell of a fight. It's the other video that I had posted on my page. And that was a hell of a fight. Both fighters left it out in the ring, man. They went at it. And that's why I want to fight. I'd like to fight Collins because he's short, he's big, just like me. And he likes to throw hands, and I like that. And I think it'd be an interesting fight. And like I said, I don't care about losing. So losing is losing. I mean, I literally don't care.
Right now, it seems like you're in search of the knockout. Who is going to knock me out first?
Well, I'm not afraid of anybody.
No, I'm not worried about it. No, I wasn't saying that you were worried about it. It was just you want to know where that boundary is.
I mean, I think that would be a great fight. But I talked to Jarvis, and who's the promoter, and I told him, I asked him, I said, hey, man, when's your next show? It's probably June. For boxing, probably June. I don't know exactly what date, but I told him, hey, get me on it. And talked to Ryan Madigan and said, hey, I'm really interested in doing the kickboxing smoker. And he said, get a hold of him. So I'm probably going to get a hold of him. And I don't even give a shit if the fight is lit. The smoker is like within a week of each other. I'm going to do both.
Right.
I don't care. It's fun. I'm going to try to get as much as, and my buddy Chris Hahn, he, something he said to me last night when I was talking to him on Facebook. He said, we were talking about the fight, and he had watched it, and he was giving me some advice. And he said, I said, well, I'm thinking about doing the kickboxing smoker. And he said, do it all. And that little comment, that little statement, it stuck with me. And I said, you're right. I should do it all. Not MMA necessarily, because
Right.
that's what I'm trying to take serious, but every amateur kickboxing match I can get, amateur boxing, kickboxing smokers, anything combative and competitive that I can do right now that's not mixed martial arts, I should be doing. That way, when I'm ready to get back in the cage, and I'm ready to take my first fight back in mixed martial arts, I'm used to competing in front of crowds. I've got that competitive environment. I've already got that competitive feel. I already know what to do. I've got my game plan. I know what to expect and how I'm going to feel in the middle of a match. So before a match, in the middle of a match, at the end of the match, because over the last year, I've been doing nothing but training and competing.
Right.
And even so I'm planning on getting back to Waterhouse and get my jiu-jitsu on again, and I wouldn't mind competing in maybe some beginner white belt jiu-jitsu grappling matches, just competitive environment, just to
Right.
get into it.
Yeah.
Just stay active, at least until I get my surgery and I can get to a weight where I'm comfortable, and it's gonna be fun.
I'm excited for you, dude. I'm glad that you went out and did this. I'm glad that you guys put on a good show.
I got a participation trophy. Look at that. Runner up. As opposed to any other place that I was going to get in this contest.
No, man.
I got second place, guys.
Everybody's got to
two.
lose.
Out of two.
Somebody's got to lose.
But,
and to think, it's all because that one kid that never won in his life didn't get that trophy at Clay's Park during baseball season for the minor leagues.
But no, we'll talk a little about enough about me, enough about my amateur boxing.
And man, nobody cares about you, dude.
If you guys want to watch it, go to my go to my page, or go to Jack Hammer MMA and go watch it. But now we'll talk a little bit about just a little bit, because the fight card isn't full yet. We're still early, but April 28th at the Summit County Fairgrounds. That's located in Talmadge, Ohio, on 229 East Howell Road. And it's Honor Fighting Championship 4, man. Operation Reaching the Summit. So so far the main event, hopefully it doesn't get canceled. But we got Rockin' Josh Roller and John DeJesus. And that's gonna be a hell of a match, man. I saw John fight Cody Stevens, and John won that match, and Cody's a hell of a competitor. So Josh is a hell of a competitor, and that's gonna be a real good match, man. I'm looking forward to that. But I know that that they're having trouble matching this card right now, mostly due to the fact that Cage Thunder is a week in between, so they're trying to match this card, and then a week later they're trying to match both cards. So you got one fighter who's like, I want to fight on this one, and then they try to match him up with a guy who's like, no, I want to fight on that one. So it's a little difficult, but Scott's got it under control, and
we can only hope.
I think that we're gonna get the card matched up, and we're gonna have a hell of a card. And so far what they have, they got Branko Busick and Marcus Allen, which is a professional heavyweight matchup, and they got Eddie Faison, which we covered at Cage Madness. He's a super heavyweight. Against Caleb Raymond. Justin Patton versus Justin Mees.
Hey, there we go.
Justin Messer, who I just seen compete at Cage Thunder, I believe, against Zach Fisher from New York. Hopefully, they mash him up with Justin Messer. Justin Messer will actually show up to this one, because Zach, his opponent, Zach drove all the way from New York to fight, his opponent, and the dude never showed up, and blatantly responded to Scott Corbin when Scott said, "Hey, you're gonna show up?" Nope. I mean, didn't even try to hide it. Said, nope, I am not showing up for that fight. So Zach had driven all the way down here. He drove all the way down here from New York for nothing. So hopefully it doesn't happen to him again. But Justin Messer is not, he's not known for not showing up to fights. So I think that's a good matchup. Justin Messer 1-1, and Zach just making his debut. That's a welterweight matchup. And then Michael Webb versus Tyron Reed. Tyron Reed actually just won last night. He was on that boxing card as well. He's for Apex Fight Systems.
Yep.
And I actually spar with Tyron quite often. Now, Tyron's 0-2, but he's 0-2 because, well, I mean, let's face it, he's not much of a wrestler.
Right.
And that's basically what happened. he's a boxer, man. He's a striker. He's a hell of a striker. We went in the stand if the guy take him down, and you know, it messes him up from there. But he's fighting a Michael Webb, and it's going to be an interesting fight. I think it's a good fight for Tyron. I think it's going to be a good fight for Michael, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. And I'll personally be training with Tyron during this time too. And like I said, Tyron, he was a victor. He won his boxing match yesterday or last night. So congratulations to Tyron.
So then Michael's a debut for his pro card.
No, that's not a pro. That's
amateur.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So, and this is going to be an interesting event too because they've got the midgets, the micro midgets. Like, is that an oxymoron?
No, it's not an oxymoron.
I mean, it's
because
kind of. I guess it's micro. I guess it's micro.
It would be a Lego midget.
It can't really be a micro midget, but yeah, you got the micro wrestling, the midgets of the OCW on Operation Reaching the Summit. So not only this is the first event that they're having multiple events, multiple shows. So they've got the Honor Fighting Championship at the MMA. Mm-hmm. They've got OCW Wrestling, which is a sister organization to operate or Honor Fighting Championship, and then they got Buck Naked performing, which is a band made up of local, law enforcement and all that shit, and then I don't know if they still have the Amazons coming in. I'm not exactly sure. Basically, just
find out
women on what is it on stilts.
Yeah, so, they're on stilts.
Yeah, it's
I don't know if they're
still there, but basically it's kind of like going to the circus and watching wrestling and fights at the same time. Now, everyone knows, well, if you don't know, you're about to find out. I have a large phobia, which I've been working on, of little people.
So right before he deploys, we were young, dumb, and we wanted to find a fun job. And
hey, young dumb, it was a badass job, man. Working at Cedar Point in the Halloween weekends and scaring people. Hell yeah.
So this is what we did, right? Just to make a little bit more extra cash for the 2 months that we're working up there. We became friendlies in the morning, and then we became screamsters at night, which is fun because you get to cuddle and everything else with all these kids that are being complete jackasses. So then now you've got pent up rage, and now you just get to unleash it at the end of the day on these poor unsuspecting people.
On the kids that you were just calling.
Yeah, pretty much. So Norm didn't do it that year and a couple of years prior to that because, of course, he was too busy defending our country. Ass. Thank you. And he was getting ready to go and deploy, so he came home for a week. And he decided that him and his girlfriend at the time...
let's get the timeline straight. First off, I wasn't getting ready to deploy because when I was getting ready to deploy,
that's right. You came
I was
back
married.
You got back from basic.
That's the last thing you need is to say that, oh yeah, before he deployed, his girlfriend, and my wife's going to listen to this and go, oh, hold up.
Well, at that point in time, she would have been your girlfriend. I don't even think you guys got engaged. You guys just got married.
No, we did get engaged.
You did?
We got engaged, yeah, for a couple months.
That's right. I didn't get that. announcement.
No, it was after basic training.
Yeah, so it was basic training.
It was
I apologize.
after basic training in 2010. It was fall of 2010. It would have been October, and I was home for 10 days on leave, and I then decided that the girl it wasn't my girlfriend. It was a girl that I was talking to. Let's get that shit right because we never dated.
His love life is so complicated.
All I wanted to do
was tell a story.
I was talking to her. I was just talking to her. We weren't even dating.
So
took her up there to Cedar Point, and we were going through the fright zone or the carnival where you were working. And then
Carnival of Evil.
Now pick it up.
Okay, so we were so excited because, of course, the years that Norm's not with us, we decided to pick up an actual midget.
Right.
To work in our zone. Well, Norm has this death fear of midgets because of what happened to one when he was younger. Anyways, in a store.
No, I wasn't molested by a midget. I was like 3 or 4 years old, and
in a grocery.
You know how kids stare. Well, there's a little. Let's be politically correct here. There was an African American little
I didn't know
person.
I didn't know she was African American.
Yeah, and she was walking in, and she had the big head, the buggy eyes, and I was staring, as most kids do. And she kind of was walking by me, and instead of just walking by me, she decided to go like that and scare the absolute shit out of me. So then, and that just that phobia at a young age, and then went to the circus, and the same thing. The clown midget came up and started messing with me. He was dressed as a cop, and he wrote me a ticket, and then bopped me on the nose with a goddamn notepad. And it was just bad experiences with little people. So yes, I don't have an issue, but I mean, as an adult now.
Yes, you have an issue because at Denny's, you have an issue.
She popped up like Mario in a tunnel to take my goddamn drink order.
She was bringing the drink. She had 3 of them in her hand. This guy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Can I take your order? Like Mario. No, it was bullshit.
It was great.
And it scared me because I was drunk or high or something. I don't even know what the hell I was, but
so it was a whole group of us. We're at this Denny's table, right? And there's about maybe 6 of us on one side, 6 of us on the other. You know, we're being stupid. And then all of a sudden, this lady pops up out of nowhere. Norm's at the very end of the table, and all you hear from Norm is,
she scared me.
And she just looks at him like,
"Can I take your order?"
That's messed up. They don't talk like that.
She did.
Well, I mean, I'm sorry when like they. Never mind. I'm not
Dude,
gonna get it.
You were on my
still.
shoulders. You were on my shoulders like fucking Scooby Doo in an episode of Scooby Doo.
Like an episode of what's that show called?
Right.
No, it was just it just always kind of went from there, and basically like I said, now I don't have much of an issue.
No, you served your country.
And I don't have much of an issue now with little people, and I really want to get a picture with all of them, like me on the ground, and they got like my foot up, and they're like and I'm like tapping out. I want to get a picture of that just to kind of like, or maybe if one of them lets me like power bomb them or something like that, that'd be fun. Like the little sting, like, just to get some frustration out that have been built up over the 30 years of midget terror that I've been experiencing. So
it's all in your mind, dude.
But to make a long story short, they picked up a midget in Carnival, and they basically,
he had the chainsaw.
He had the chainsaw, and he was chasing after me. And
there was one point where I had Norm over my shoulders, and
well, you were grabbing me because I was running and I was trying to get away from it.
It was great.
And you were holding me so he could run up to me, and you just contributed to the phobia.
It's okay.
That's what you did. You contributed.
You're in the military.
You contributed.
Get over it, soldier.
Yeah. And that's it. And the worst thing that could have ever happened was going to Afghanistan and seeing a midget Al Qaeda or Al Qaeda, sorry, or something. That would have been. It would have been like playing. It would have been like playing the game Borderlands, basically.
Oh my god.
So.
Oh my goodness! It's time for my little friend to come out. Hold on, one moment.
He's not from India. That's what you sounded. That's what you sounded like.
Oh my goodness! Thank you. Yes, that's where you were.
No, I was not in India, or 7-Eleven.
Well, yeah, I guess you were a little bit.
But anyway, yeah. So I would like that. Actually, get the bullshit with some of the little people, the micro wrestlers. And if you're offended, I'm sorry. Actually, I'm not sorry. I don't think
that
really
you are
care.
allowed to be offended when they're actually called that for the show that they do.
Yeah, I mean that's what they do for a living. So being called a midget wrestler, I highly doubt that any of them are offended. And I just think it's funny when other people who are not little people are offended. Like, you can't say midget. I mean, hell, there was a radio show. I'm not gonna name it. Screw, I'm gonna name it. Was it like 96.5 or some shit like that? That refused to run the ad because they said midget. They refused, and I'm like, come on, guys. So, but a lot of people, Jeremy's been doing a really good job on, on promoting this, and with their sponsor and iHeartRadio, they've got a lot of money in advertising, and it's running. They basically had to pick their platform and go with it. So yeah, a lot of people locally are getting this. They're hearing about this event. It's nice, and it's actually, I'm glad to see a promotion that's actually promoting. And they're doing well. So hopefully they get a good turnout for April 28th. And I'm going to be there at Cage Madness on the 21st. And because there's some people fighting in that one I want to check out. And then, yeah, I'm definitely going to be there. We are going to be there on the 28th because we'll be doing the pre and post fight interviews. And I might be commentating. It just depends if I'm a third wheel or not. Who knows? But we'll go ahead and do that. But and then in other news, you've been keeping track of the Conor McGregor.
Yeah, dude. It was only in the media for just a little while, but then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, later on this afternoon, it popped back up.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's out on bail, $50,000 bail, and he's being charged with like 3 counts of felony assault, dude.
Right.
And I'm not.
Which
I think he's also being
deserves.
charged. I also think he's being charged with trespassing and destruction of property, vandalism, all that. All
they
that
can't
stuff.
get him for trespassing because they let him in. The security guards let him in.
I don't think it was a security guards. It was like the Mac people. I don't know, Mac Life people or something like that. I don't know if they're security guards. I think they're just employees, but still, it's still trespassing. But maybe they're not catching with that. I don't know. He's just threw away. He's thrown away his career, and or I can't help but thinking that there's something more to this. Like they're going to, now that Khabib, they gave Khabib an easy opponent, and he won last night. 5 rounds, and they gave him an 11th ranked fighter, and because it kills me, because like, okay, Tony Ferguson was supposed to fight Khabib, that was the big one. Tony got hurt, and then like Max Holloway was supposed to, he stepped up, he was going to take it, and then he was like not medically cleared, or like he couldn't cut weight, or again the commission didn't like the way that he was cut, he looked cutting weight or something. And Anthony Pettis jumped up, I think, and then they medically didn't clear him, and he wasn't. I think like Paul Felder wanted to take it. He wasn't in the top 10, or he wasn't a ranked fighter. They just kept making these excuses. Honestly, I can't help but feel that they were trying to give him an opponent that he was guaranteed going to win, so they can now do Conor McGregor versus Khabib and use the drama that has been stirred up to basically sell the F out, dude. Like, big time. I mean, that'll be a huge fight if it happens. But the problem is that this lawsuit is real. These fighters are going to be suing the shit out of Conor McGregor, especially the fighters who lost wages due to being injured from his antics. So, like, the lawsuits are real. The felony charges are real. Will he go to jail? Probably not. He'll probably settle everything out of court. He'll get like a misdemeanor. I don't know, maybe, I don't know what they'll do. Definitely his ass is getting deported back to Ireland. And then it becomes an issue of how long until is he going to have visa problems? Is he going to have visa problems? Are they going to be able to let him back in? Is it going to be like, oh, okay, whatever, he's an athlete. He's a superstar in the UFC. Celebrity status only goes so far, but we have seen many, many times, that celebrity status, celebs getting off because of their status. So it really just depends. Like, is there something else in the works? Is this real? I mean, obviously it's real.
Well,
but are they going to
the
use
attention's
this?
already starting to turn away from McGregor. Caleb.
It's Khabib.
Khabib?
Caleb. Don't even try to say his last name then.
Let me get to it. Let me see if
I don't even think I can.
I
can't even pronounce it correctly.
Nurmagomedov.
But he's Russian.
Anyways,
he's undefeated. He's 26-0.
Yeah, 26-0, and he's already put Conor McGregor to the wayside. Let him take care of his little temper tantrum, and now he's talking about wanting to fight George St. Pierre.
Yeah, and that's the money fight, and that's because. That would be a money fight for him, and maybe he wants to prove, because George St. Pierre has been highly regarded for many, many years now as one of the greatest welterweight ever, And then he came back and he competed at middleweight against UFC champion, middleweight champion Michael Bisping, and he beat him.
Right.
First fight back in like 3-4 years. So, and then he vacates the belt. I forget, why do I keep saying Forrest Whitaker? Fucking stupid.
Wow, dude.
I keep saying that.
Seriously?
But Whitaker takes it, the belt. So now George is back out of the scene of MMA. So it's all money fights right now. I think that's why he wants to do it. Or either that, or Khabib wants to prove to everyone else. Or
from what it's showing.
But the thing is, like Khabib is a lightweight. He's a lightweight fighter, so he'd have to jump up to 70, and then George St. Pierre would have to lose the weight and drop down. He'd have to cut down to 170 again, which isn't an issue. But he looked pretty thick when he fought Bisping, so. It would be interesting if that fight actually does take place, but I don't see anything going on with Khabib for the next year.
Khabib says that if the UFC were to ask him, 3 people, Tony, Conor, or George, he said he's gonna say George. He wants George.
Yeah.
And you're right.
He has his own reasons, so.
Well, it's because he wants to hold the belt for 3 different weight classes.
Well, I mean, George doesn't have a belt anymore. George vacated that middleweight belt. So if he wants to hold the belt in 3 different weight classes, then he's going to have to go after the current middleweight champion.
It says right here that George St. Pierre wants to come to 155 so he can make 155, and he wants to become a 3-time world champion.
Oh, you're talking about George St. Pierre?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Khabib. Yeah, George St. Pierre can cut the weight to 55. Then yeah, he could fight Khabib at 155.
It's so that he can stop George St. Pierre from holding all 3.
Right.
So he wants to be able to do that.
And that would be a hell of a fight, because Khabib's style of fighting with George St. Pierre's style of fighting, they have like a wrestler background where they're going to take each other down and basically just land each other. And
right now what they're doing is he's going to wait. He's already at that weight, so he's good. Right. He said, you come to me at 155 and it's on.
Right.
So he's got 155, 170, 185 that he has to work for.
Yeah. It'd be good though. I mean, if he was able to get to 155 and fight Khabib and beat Khabib, not only would that be a huge feat for George St. Pierre to beat 26-0 Russian fighter Khabib, but to have held a belt in 3 different weight classes. Obviously, he won't be holding it at the same time, but he'd have held it in 3 different weight classes. It'll be nice. It'll be a good feat for George St. Pierre, and I hope he makes it. So, it'll be nice. But not much more to really say on that issue. I mean, like I said, we just kind of
really
have to,
not much. I mean, of course, UFC 223, all the results are in for that.
Yeah, all 9 fights. Nobody really gives a shit about. But I think Rose.
You got to
Rose
watch
and
it.
Joanna. That was the only really fight I cared about, and Rose ended up winning that decision. So she retained the belt, and I'm sure we'll see a 3rd fight between Rose and Joanna. So
back over to Conor McGregor. Oh, never mind. That's old shit. Never mind. That was 2 days ago.
Yeah. I say if he stays out of jail, then he'll be suspended for a while, and I'm really don't know what's going to happen from there. But in closing, like I said, guys, keep tuning in. Next week we should have a little bit more fights and an updated fight card for Operation Reaching the Summit. For Honor Fighting Championship 4 at the Summit County Fairgrounds, and tickets are already on sale, so head on over to fightertix.com and click on the Honor Fighting Championship 4 tab, and
make sure you guys pay attention to what's going on there too, because there's actually a hell of a lot more places to sit. The Circle of Honor is
Ring of Honor.
Yeah, the Ring of Honor is going to be completely different. So just make sure that you pay attention to what you're doing, because there is sections A, B, and C that you have to that you can buy for. Right. So don't get excited if you think that everything's sold out.
So, and all right, guys. Well, until next time. I know it wasn't really much of a local mixed martial arts podcast, but let's face it. We are at the beginning of a month, and and they don't really have much on the fight cards. So, and the only two organizations that we're currently covering is Cage Thunder and Honor Fighting Championship. And I mean, besides like new league fights, which probably pick up here shortly, and that's over in like Dayton, Toledo area. You know what I'm saying? So, and I know there's a couple guys that are going to be jumping on that card, like Marcus Crawford, Sean Rawl, George Pointer, some big names that are jumping on those cards at the in May. So it's
George
like
looks hungry.
So, but until next time, guys.
Later.